Let's take a minute to get ready to read chapter 5 in the book Engaging with God by David Peterson. Now, chapter 5 picks up the story. We've looked at the Old Testament, different aspects of that, and then the Gospels. And chapter 5 picks up the story with the book of Acts. He includes Luke in here as well because Luke and Acts were written by the same person, and so the themes are similar. But the big questions that you'll be looking for in this chapter, number one, is what happens to worship after the resurrection of Jesus? And then secondly, what happens to worship as the Gentiles are now included in this new messianic movement? And so look for the changing role of the temple and the relationship with Christians to the temple now that Jesus has come. And then look for the interaction of Christians with the Gentile world, especially what is the emphasis of their preaching, their proclamation to these pagan idolaters. Now, we're going to see that categories of worship and the words that were used to describe worship that have been introduced to us in past chapters, we're going to see how those play out in Luke and Acts. And you're also going to see especially this increasing awareness of the role and of the person of Jesus as the early church with its Jewish roots grapples with how to consider him in light of the monotheistic traditions of Judaism. And then he ends the chapter on a more practical note by reviewing early Christian gatherings to find out what we can learn about how they practiced worship and how they practiced other elements of Christian life. So we're going to see what we can learn from those activities of worship and other activities in the early Christian church. So watch for those things, and I pray that God blesses you as you read chapter 5.